thank you for tuning in. Welcome. Thank you for joining me on my deck and doing a little al fresco yoga with me on this lovely spring day. So let's just jump right in. We're going to do a nice gentle flow, get everything stretched out, and we're going to come into child's pose to start. So I'll meet you there. Come on down into a nice gentle child's pose. For child's pose, your knees can either be together or spread far apart. And it's just gonna, it depends on what feels really good to your body and your hips. So find a child's pose that feels good to you. Let the forehead sink to the floor. Let's just ground down here and breathe. Get nice and full in our breath. Pose. Right here from child's pose, just start to walk your arms and your hands over to the right, coming into a little twist, and then settle yourself right back down, forehead towards the floor. It doesn't have to touch the floor, just sinking the head down. So now we're stretching up into that left side of the body. And begin to walk your hands over to the other side, coming into this child's pose twist over to the left, bringing your breath up the right side of the body. Begin to walk the hands right back to center. So we're going to lift up and shift forward. So our shoulders come over our wrist, and then just ever so slowly lower yourself down. We're just going to take a little back bend here, a little cobra pose. Lift the chest, pull the shoulders down away from the ears. Your elbows are pointing back. One more big breath. And we're going right back to child's pose one more time. Sink into your breath here. And then begin to lift up, finding the tabletop position. Let's move through a little bit of cat and cow. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, round the back. We won't stay here too long. We've been in child's pose. We've done a cobra pose. Kind of warmed up our spine a little bit already. Just do one more together. And then start to find your way back to a flat back, nice neutral spine. Extending your right leg long. Keep the toes on the floor. Reach the heel back. So we're going to stretch down through the right calf. Just breathe down now into that right leg. Let's take that leg, or the toes away from the floor, and swing that leg over to the left side. So you're crossing over your right leg, and then put the toes back down. Reach the heel back again. And now we're going to take that right leg and swing it out all the way to the right side. Plant the foot down. And maybe start to play with shifting your hips back a little bit, seeing if you can get a deeper stretch into the inner part of that right thigh. And then right back to center, coming back into tabletop position. Extending the left leg straight behind us to start. Toes down, heel back, stretching down through the calf. And taking that leg over to the right side. So crossing over your right leg, setting the toes down, reaching that heel back. And now swinging it out all the way to the left side. Plant the foot. You might feel enough of a stretch here. If you don't, you can shift the hips back until you start to feel a desirable stretch in the inner part of that left thigh. And coming back to center, back into our tabletop. Let's move right up into downward facing dog. Lift the seat, ground the heels downward, lengthen through the spine. Find your breath here. Let's really start to cultivate a nice deep full breath that we're going to carry with us through the rest of our practice. And now moving that right leg up in the sky behind you. Take a big inhale here as you exhale. Squeeze the knee into the chest and then inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze. We're going to do it one more time. And then we're going to bring that foot and plant it right between the hands for a low lunge pose. So bring that left knee down. Start to find the arms that feel good for you, whether you want to bring them overhead or bring them into the heart, or even maybe just reach down and lean back into a little back bend, opening the chest. So feel free to find your own pose there, whatever feels good in your body. Making your own shape, taking your breath into it. And then release the hands down. We're going to come up into a forward fold. Step that back foot forward. Let the upper body ragdoll. Soft knees. And then inhale, come to stand. Reach those arms all the way up as the palms meet. Take a tilt over to that right side. Big side bend. Up through center, over to the left side. Through center and forward fold, right back down, soft knees. And we're stepping back to downward facing dog. Find the breath again if you've lost focus with it. And now left leg up into the sky, inhaling here, exhale, knee to chest. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, squeeze, one more time. And then we're going to step that foot forward, low lunge, right knee to the ground. Figure out again where your arms want to go. What shape do they want to take? What feels really good in your body? And then release the hands down. Lift the back knee away from the floor. Start to walk your hands around to the right. So you're coming into a wide leg fold. So all your toes are now pointing in the same direction. You're letting the head and neck go. Begin to nice and slowly inhale yourself up to stand and take a few backward shoulder shrugs as you come up. We're going to keep our wide stance here. And then just turn now the right toes out to point to the top of the mat. Triangle pose. We're going to bring the arms up nice and long and reach that right hand down to find your ankle, your shin, the floor, whatever you naturally and kind of easily find. Keeping the upper body open and expanded. You can be looking up at that hand in the sky if that feels okay in your neck. And if it doesn't feel so good, keep your gaze forward or even down at the foot. So that you have that whole range there where your neck can turn and your head can rest. Find what works for you. And then with an inhale, come up and drop that left hand back. Reach your right arm up now. So we're just reversing this triangle pose, opening up this right rib cage. And back to center. Keep those arms long. Turn your right toes in, your left toes out now. Triangle. Other side, dropping that left hand down, finding your triangle shape. Finding a comfortable place to rest your gaze, whether it's up, neutral, or down. Once you find your shape, again, find your breath. Always coming back to the breath. And use an inhale, come up. We're going to drop right back into that reverse triangle. Right hand comes back to the leg, left arm up. Reach it back. Breathe into that left rib cage. come back to center, release the arms, turn those left toes in, heel toe it in, step it in, however you get there. Come on in so that your feet are about hip width apart. We're gonna come with our hands into our heart. We're gonna close our eyes and we're just gonna have a breath here, just centering. And then inhale, circle the arms up into the sky. Let your palms meet here. Exhale, lean into that right side, big side bend. And then inhale, center, and exhale, left. Inhale, center, and exhale, just release the hands down. We're gonna find warrior one pose, taking the right foot back, bending into your left knee. So just like our lunges, the arms can go overhead into a traditional pose, but they don't have to. You can do something else. You can find your own shape here in your upper body. See what feels good. It's nice to try on different things, different poses, just kind of cultivate different energy, seeing what feels good, what works today. Resting there, finding your breath. And we're going to practice going right into warrior three pose from this warrior one. It's a balancing pose. So we're going to start to shift our weight onto that front foot, into that left foot, reaching your right foot away and starting to fold from the waist. So your arms can go wherever you need them to go, whatever helps with balance. They can stay out to the side. They can reach forward, maybe to the heart. It doesn't matter. And then set that right foot down, just come up, shake it out a little bit, and let's find our warrior one to the other side, stepping the left foot back, putting a nice bend into that right leg. Find your arms, they can be in the same position they were on the other side, but they don't have to be. You can find a different position. We're going to get ready for that warrior three balancing pose. Start to put your attention on your right foot. You're going to shift your weight forward now. Start to lift the back foot away from the floor. Any amount is okay. We're kind of looking to get the leg long behind us eventually. That's kind of the final version of the pose, but wherever you are today, be there, breathe there. Even if your foot has to hover an inch over the ground, it's totally fine. And set that back foot down, shake it out a little bit, come on back to the top of your mat, and then inhale, circle those arms up into the sky, and exhale, forward fold, come on down. Let the head and neck shake a little, yes and no here. We're gonna come back to down dog. 3 breaths. Use an inhale, come forward into a plank pose. You can keep your knees lifted for plank, or you can bring your knees down for more gentle plank. So you decide what's just right for you. And then use your next exhale to lower down to the ground. Inhale up into a little cobra here. I like to stay in cobras for a good long time because it's such good strengthening back work for our back muscles. And we're going to push back into a child's pose. Use an inhale, lift up into your tabletop. Exhale, push back into down dog. Breathe here. Take the right leg up nice and long behind you. We're just going to stretch it out. Keep that left heel moving downward. And now we're going to pull the right foot forward for a high lunge pose. So keeping your back knee lifted. So you can keep your fingertips to the ground, or you can start to move the hands away and reach the arms overhead. Or just like we've been doing, any other placement of the arms. If you want to interlace behind your back, take a back bend, open the heart, you can do that. then release, back down, come back into downward facing dog. Stretch it out, breathing here. And moving left leg into the sky, just holding the split for another breath. I'm stepping the foot forward, high lunge pose, fingertips can stay grounded, or you can find your arms, lifting them. Hi, Rose. Did you come to join us? That's so nice. And then release the hands down one more time, downward facing dog. Inhaling forward into that plank pose. Knees can be up or down, you decide. And then start to lower down to the tummy. Let's find our back bend, so it can be this little cobra pose like we've been doing. But if you like deep back bends, you can straighten the arms more, make it deeper. So just see what feels good in your back. We don't want any kind of pinching or pain in the lower back. And we are going right back into child's pose. You can always substitute a down dog for child's pose if you just want a more dynamic practice. Inhale yourself back up and back to downward facing dog. I'm so glad Rosie joined us today. She hasn't been practicing yoga with me. This is a nice treat. We're just going to walk the feet forward, coming into a forward fold. Giving our spine a chance, our neck a chance to release here, to stretch. And then use the next inhale. Lift yourself up to stand. Arms come all the way up. Palms meet as you exhale. Lean into the right side. Big side bend. Inhale, center. And exhale to the left. And center. And release the hands. So we're going to come back into our wide stance again, this time for some warrior two poses. So nice wide stance. Let's turn our right toes out to point to the top of the mat. Arms are going to come nice and long. This time we're going to bend deep into that right knee. Take the gaze out over those right fingertips and soften the shoulders so you're not wearing them up by your ears. They're nice and soft down the back. Just release the hands down to the waist, straighten your right leg, turn those right toes forward so we can switch sides. Left toes are going to now point to the edge of the mat. Bend that left knee, bring those arms out nice and long again. Just make sure your shoulders aren't hunched up. They're nice and soft down the back. We're looking out over the left fingertips. And release the hands to the waist, straighten that leg, turn your left toes forward. We're gonna go right back into that wide leg fold we were in earlier. This time we're gonna pause halfway down. So start to fold from your waist. When you get into a flat back, just hold it right there. If you wanna work a little harder, you're gonna reach your arms straight in front of you. You're gonna feel everything kind of turn on. It's a little more work. You don't have to do that. You can keep the hands at the waist. And then when you're ready to let go, just let yourself forward fold then all the way down, releasing the hands to the mat, letting the head and neck hang loose. Taking 2 more breaths. And then putting a little soft bend in the knees. Start to nice and slowly roll yourself up to stand. Heel toe it in, step it in. Shake it out a little bit. We're going to do a little tree pose. So we want to stay on with our feet hip width apart. And shift weight over into that right leg. And we want to make sure we're keeping our right leg long. When we shift our weight over, we have a tendency to then like kind of sit down in that hip. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you're staying really long. And then bring that foot away from the floor and find those tree branches, however they're going to be for you today. Up, down, heart. There's a little breeze out here on my deck today, so if you want your tree to mimic a breeze, you can practice some movement here in tree pose, moving around. Full creativity. Do what feels good. We're working on balance. As long as that foot is away from the floor, you're getting the balancing work, and the rest is yours to play with. All right, let's let that go. Shake it out just a bit and switch sides. Coming over into that left leg, stay nice and long, pulling the right toes away from the floor. Again, finding your tree branches, your arms, whatever they want to do right now. Let it go. Shake it out a little bit. Let's roll the shoulders, just a little roll backwards and forwards. And if you're not already standing at the top of the mat, coming back to the top. Inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Come on down. And take the right foot back. We're coming back into low lunge. Right knee comes down, bringing the hands into the heart center. Just sinking ever so gently down into that right hip. We're going to take a little twist here. So twisting to your left, you're going to bring your right elbow to the outside of your left knee and press all your fingers together and your palms together so your arms still get a little bit of action here. And then bringing the hands right back to the heart. We're going to circle the arms up, stretch through those shoulders and ribs, and then release the hands down. We're going to come into downward facing dog and take 3 breaths. And now stepping the right foot forward between the hands, low lunge, left knee comes down, hands come into the heart, ever so gently sinking into that left hip crease. And now twisting to the right, so that left elbow comes to the outside of the right knee. We're pressing your fingers and palms together. And back to heart center. Circle those arms all the way up. Big side stretches here. And then release down. Downward dog. If you don't want to go through a plank and cobra right here, you can just hold onto your down dog, or you can rest in child's pose. If you want to join me in plank and cobra, let's come forward to that plank pose. We're going to hold this one a little longer. Whenever you're ready to let it go, come down to the tummy. Find your back bend. It can be a little cobra or a big back bend, whatever feels nice. And when you're ready to let that go, come back into child's pose. Just resting here. starting to find your way out of child's pose. We're going to come around onto our back. So just take your time. Come down to your back. Take a full body stretch when you get there. Let everything lengthen and expand and go long. We'll do a little bridge pose here as we start to finish out our practice. So when you're ready, bring the arms to the sides. Bring the feet to the floor. The feet are about hip width. And then use an inhale. Lift the hips away from the floor, keeping the chin lifted out of the throat. Nice long hold here in bridge pose. And use an exhale to release the hips down. Once the hips come all the way down, bring the knees into the chest. Take a little squeeze. You can rock side to side if that feels good. Then keeping the knees into the chest, come to center. Drop the arms open in a T. And let the knees now drop over to the right side, coming into a twist. Starting to find that breath again if you've lost focus. Nice deep full breaths. We're starting to soften as we move towards the end of our practice. Just letting the body relax in this twisting shape. Gently guide your knees back through center, dropping them over to the left side, coming down into your twist, letting the body then just soften and relax here. Enjoying the flow of breath moving through the body. Taking the knees back to center, letting the feet come to the floor, letting the legs slide long. If you want to take a traditional Shavasana, final relaxation, here you are, you're in the pose. Just let your body relax. Let yourself be still. If you'd rather come up and do a seated meditation, feel free to come into your seat. Finishing your practice with meditation, and I'll leave you here. I'll leave you with your Shavasana or meditation as you finish your practice. I thank you all, and Rosie thanks you too for tuning in and joining us today in this yoga al fresco. See you next time. Namaste.